So in today's video, I'll be doing a top 10 must-have units after the Bleach Part 2 update. I'll not be including unobtainable units like Dio, Sjim Maru, and others like that. That's basically it though. I'm not going to be dragging this out, so let's just get into the video. Alright, so for the number 10 spot, I'm going to have to say Sjim Maru. Now, this unit actually has a pretty unique passive. It's basically just good against all elements. It does 300% more damage against all elements. Now, I don't have this unit maxed, but you can kind of make do the math for like what the max damage should be. And this damage, I mean, at level 22 with no skill tree, this damage is not even bad because you do gotta do times 4. 300% is times 4 damage, so already now that's like pretty good. Now let's just keep upgrading because she's actually not that expensive. Now I say that it costs 12k, but 16k to get to this damage is really not bad when you gotta think about the level. And then she goes into a circle, which it's probably better than the line AoE. Well, actually, I think you're gonna mostly be using her for caverns, and caverns actually have a pretty straight path, so maybe the line is better, but let's just keep upgrading. It's not a bad cycle, and yeah, she does get expensive later on, but the main reason you're gonna want to use her is because look how cheap the fast upgrades are. This is really good for caverns, and then of course here she gets expensive, but that doesn't really matter. Only the first few waves are hard in caverns. I'll definitely be using her for caverns like water and stuff. Number 10, yeah, let's just move on to number 9. Okay, so for the number 9 spot, this one could be debated to be a little higher because he does buff units, but we do have another unit that got added recently that also buffs units, so yeah, I don't really know. I'm just gonna put him here. I think this is a fine spot. This guy carries me in fire caverns. His full AoE is so cheap. Like, look at this. Look, when we place him, you just gotta get it like 3 upgrades. Yeah, for 12k you can get full AoE. This is really good for caverns, and let's just keep upgrading. I actually rolled off Overlord on this guy just to get Avatar above, and yeah, he goes into this pretty decent damage, nothing too insane, but I also don't have skill tree, and he does have a nuke. Yeah, there's definitely crazier units in the game. Now this guy is just because he carries me for fire caverns. He's like the best water unit right now, I think, if you want damage, that is. But I don't have much else to say. Let's just move on to number 8. Alright, so for number 8 here, you might have think this guy should be higher, but I just gotta say this guy is only for infinites, and even then I would only bring him for light infinites, which is only the newest map currently. That's the only light map, I think. Actually, maybe the Jojo's map is light too, I think, but that's like the only infinite you're gonna bring him for. For caverns, he's not that good. I know people are gonna say he's good because caverns have like 30 waves, but he's not. You need 1.5k kills on him. He's not gonna get all that in caverns, but his damage is insane. He's also really expensive, so when you max him, he goes up to 43 million, and if you times that by the 4x that you get from the passive, it is like a lot of damage plus crit and stuff. It's like 170 something million plus crits. Now I do also have full skill tree on this guy, but yeah, I mean, really good unit for the quest that we have right now, the Ichigo quest, where you have to reach wave 100 in the newest infinite. But besides that, you're not gonna use this guy. He's too expensive, and his damage isn't that crazy like his base damage. You need the passive first. Now let's just get into the number 7. Alright, so for the number 7 here, I put Rukia. Now this unit has a pretty unique passive. If you place her next to units, she basically keeps freezing them. And that's not even, like, you can see the snowflake. It's not even the freeze she does when she attacks. It's the frostbite she does when she is close to someone, as you can see here by the passive, which is really good. In my opinion, it's not as good as Gojo's, like, at all, but it's still really good. And I mean, you can use both together, so really good together. And she's actually not bad when it comes to damage, because if we keep upgrading here, she goes into full AoE, and it's not even that expensive to get her to full AoE. Like 66k is really not that bad. Now this is not max level and I don't have skill tree, but if we keep upgrading, she is gonna be doing 30.9 million, which isn't anything insane, but if we get her maxed out, it's gonna be pretty decent damage. Nothing too insane, but pretty decent. So this is, I'm gonna put her above Yuha. These two are like the best 2 water units in my opinion. Well, besides probably Sjim Maru, but he's limited, so he's not gonna be on this. I think 7 is fair. So let's move on to number 6, where I kind of have a tie between 2 units. Alright, so I know this is a top 10 must-have, but these two just have like the same use, but different elements, so I feel like I had to put them both here. Like, Rangoku is insane for nature stuff. Nature short form content, he's the best that is in the game for that. His damage isn't even bad like on max upgrade, but you mainly just want him because he's so cheap to upgrade. Now Benny Maru also has really insane damage on placement. It's even better than Rangoku by like, yeah, okay, by a good bit, but he does also have a soul right now. Now if we keep upgrading, the thing is, like, this is great, and then he goes into the Black Flames. This is where he kind of falls off because Black Flames is really not that good. If we keep upgrading, I actually gotta change his SPA because I should change it to like a 5.1. Because Black Flames takes 10 seconds to proc and you can't stack it, so you kind of have to wait for the Black Flames to go out before you can start a new one, and it takes 10 seconds. So right now I have to, like, I only get it every 3 times I attack, but if I change the SPA to 5, I can get it every 2 times I attack. So I definitely need to change that, but still a great unit. These two are just insane for short content because, well, you basically just you use these early upgrades. You don't really need the Black Flames upgrade for anything. You just use the short form content upgrades. Just felt like I had to make it like a tie, since I know people love both of these units, but I didn't want to fill 2 spots with the same type of unit. So let's just move on to the top 5. They're about the same level anyway. So alright, so for the number 5, I actually haven't evolved this guy yet, but this guy from the current battle pass, I would really recommend trying to trade for battle pass. This guy is pretty insane. Now I'll quickly show what his DPS is on the DPS chart. So as you can see here, with his passive, I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. It basically just makes his SPA a lot lower, and yeah, he goes into a top 3 DPS if he just like keeps attacking, which you're most likely gonna do. I mean, there's most of the time always gonna be enemies that spawn over and over again, like there is a short break between waves, but yeah, you're gonna keep ramping up the passive always. Like, Eisen is only for infinites, so for any like other content, he is actually the number 1 DPS. Well, without passive, he's 22, but the passive is just so insane. And he does the poison full AoE hybrid, so he is also top 5 when it comes to AoE DPS. And he's not even that expensive to max. He's only 225k to max, which might sound like a lot, but it's really not. Compared to most units that come out now, that's really not a lot at all. So this unit is pretty insane. I'm definitely gonna evolve him because he is going straight to my nature team. But number 4 spot, okay, it took a while to save up the money for this one, but we finally got enough. Number 4, I have Gojo. Now Gojo is, everyone knows this guy's insane because of the infinity. It applies infinity to enemies that get close to this unit. Basically, this bubble around him is the infinity where they get slowed so much if we place it here. Yeah, it's just, infinity is insane. This unit is always gonna be meta, and he's actually not that bad damage wise because you can get him to this full AoE multi-hit really fast. So that's actually kind of crazy. It's not like insane damage here, 3 million, but it's also really not expensive for the damage. I do have the idle soul for the cost and range buff on him, just so I can get this upgrade quicker, and the last upgrade that's like 2.5 million is also cheaper. And then he goes into this hollow pebble, which it turns into line, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's still pretty good, and it's also single hit. But this damage is not bad. And then we have the 2.4 million upgrade here, where you get the nuke and a little boost in damage. And look at how big this infinity is, bro. Look at this infinity. That is so OP. Yeah, this infinity bubble is just insane. It covers so much and it's so good. And he also does get unlimited void, like on upgrade 3, where you get the infinity, or the full AoE, I mean. So yeah, just on upgrade 3 alone, he's already pretty insane. Like on this blue spiral, he has unlimited void and pretty decent damage stats with full AoE hybrid. Also, he did get a nuke on the last upgrade before. I guess we can quickly get it again. Pebble maximum and nuke that does 7.5 billion, I think. In my opinion, the worst godly is Sukuna. Now, that does not mean he's bad. Sukuna is still insane. He's full AoE on placement, just not hybrid, sadly. But he's still insane on placement. Let's just keep upgrading. I mean, everyone has used Sukuna, so I don't really have to go too much over his upgrades. He's not even that expensive, to be honest. I mean, until you get to the 300k upgrade, he's only 150k for this damage. That's really not bad. Okay, what happened there? Alright, for this damage. Okay, yeah, I was confused on why it wasn't as high as I thought it was. But yeah, okay, it just took a while to load. And he has like a half full AoE. Now, let's just get this, because he gets a nuke here, where it does 3 billion, I think it is. And another nuke that does, ooh, I think it was 15 billion or 10 billion. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. You're only gonna use nukes for infinite, and maybe the new portal, but you're not gonna get the second nuke for the new portals. But yeah, I mean, this damage is insane. Even though he is the worst godly, he's definitely still a top 3 unit in the game if we only talk about obtainable units that aren't limited right now. And yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say. Oh, he does also have a soul, and he does also have the team buff that's actually kind of underrated in my opinion. I think the 35% range is really good, but I'm just using pride for this so the damage numbers look better. Let's just move on though to the second spot. Alright, so we got Ichigo here. Now, I don't have this unit myself, so we got someone else here to bring it. And this guy is kind of known for being good for short form content. He does have a passive where he buffs everyone in range that he just has on placement, which is really good. Yeah, oh, I think they fixed the crit thing. It was supposed to be like, yeah, multiply with 5%, but it's adding 5% now. Alright, he's doing black flames, which I'm not a big fan of. Okay, at least here he goes up to 5 SPA, I think. Oh, he didn't. Okay, yeah, his stats are a bit bugged this update, but he's at, okay, 10.2. That's actually a perfect SPA for him. And keep upgrading. Let's just see, because black flames take 10 seconds to proc, and you need to, they don't stack, so you need to wait 10 seconds before you can start another one. Okay, I actually thought he did. Oh yeah, it's only level 44. Yeah, it's only level 44. So his damage is not going to be as crazy as a max level. You can probably like double this or something. So with like, he's not even, I mean, it's kind of expensive to max, but compared to other godlies, that's not too much. I think it's the second cheapest godly behind Pride. Black Flames, yeah, 10 second SPA. His DPS isn't insane because of the SPA. Well, this kind of insane. I mean, he is like, what? I think he's top 4 DPS, and you can't really count Aizen's passive, so basically top 2 behind Askin with his passive. So he is the highest DPS godly in the game, which is pretty cool. Really cool unit. The buff is really good for early game. Best godly for early game, I think. Well, cost wise at least, because Sukuna does have full AoE on placement, which some might consider better. But I think Ichigo can also be considered the best starter, and he's up to 55%. I don't know how, but yeah, that is the quick overlook on Ichigo. Didn't have him, so I had to bring in here someone who had him. And let's move on to number 1, which should be a pretty obvious one. Alright, so number 1 was pretty obvious. I'm gonna say it's Pride, but it really depends on the content, what you're doing, like what the best godly is. And the 20% team damage buff is also just really good. Plus the damage on placement he does, he's just so good. Keep upgrading. He goes into just the bigger circle. The circle isn't too insane, but it's not bad. And the damage is pretty good, actually. For 20k, that's actually really good. And we just keep upgrading. It's not cheap, but it's not really expensive. I think he is the cheapest godly. So for 66.6k, you get the full AoE. And at this point, you basically won the game, whatever you're playing, because this full AoE is just insane. Whenever you get Pride to full AoE, you won. And yeah, he's really not that expensive. Like 320k, that's really cheap for a godly. I think that was cheaper than Mugetsu as well. And it's definitely cheaper than Dio. I mean, Dio's last upgrade costs like 3 times what it cost to max Pride. And Sukuna also cost, it's like 1.5 million to max at the end, like the last upgrade alone. So Pride, in my opinion, is probably the best godly still in the game. He's just so cheap, you can use him for everything. And I mean, that's just my list. It's not like 100% accurate to what you should go for, but that's just what I would go for in the order. I mean, you should probably get like one of the lower tier units on the list before trying to go for someone like Pride. Like Sjim Maru would help you so much to grind towards these godlies for the caverns. But yeah, I'm not gonna drag this out any longer. Let me know if you have any feedback about this list later on, if there's anything you would have changed, or yeah, whatever. Hope you guys found this video helpful, and thank you guys for watching.